Hello and Happy New Year to you all. I do hope that those of you that have celebrated Christmas has had a fantastic time. I know that I've enjoyed a few extra days off work and had a nice break and a relaxing time, just recharging my batteries and getting ready to start this year re-energized and full of ideas. I do have lots of things that I want to bring you in my videos this year, and I have a little bit of a plan, dare I say it. I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I hope that I can bring you different types of projects throughout the month and then sort of do that on a regular basis as the year progresses. So that's what I'm going to say. On paper, the plan looks well. We'll see how it goes. It doesn't always turn out that way. Obviously, life gets in the way, as they say. But we'll see. I have lots of ideas. One of which is that I want to make a piece each month on hopefully the first Friday of each month that I can display in this little frame that I'd got. I bought this from IKEA a while ago. It's one of the Tollsby frames. Comes with a little pedestal, and these do actually fit inside these little perspex pieces, and you're intended to put a postcard or something in there. But I've seen there's quite a few people that they take that out and then use a couple of book rings round the top to make almost like a little flip chart display. And that's what I want to do. I want to make a piece of art that I can hang in there, and each month I'll add another one and I can just have it displayed on my desk. And I've decided that each piece is going to have a different word on it, and I'll try and create a piece of artwork that I feel fits with that word that I've chosen for that particular month. And today's word, this month's word that I want to work with is believe, because, you know, at the start of a new year, we have lots of good intentions, and although I don't sort of really believe in New Year's resolutions, I think, you know, it is good to have a plan and then believe in yourself and believe that you can make changes and do something different and sort of get on and be more focused on things throughout the year. So that's going to be my word for my January piece. And I'm going to do a printed background. Here, as you can see, I have this is my 5x7" Gelli Plate. And I'm going to be working on some mixed media paper. I've just taken some paper from this mixed media pad and just cut it down, just cut the page down in half, and I can trim that a little bit further as well. The dimensions that will fit within the frame, as I say, because I want it to be suspended, it needs to be slightly smaller than the aperture. So I will be trimming my finished print down to 3¼ inches by 5¼ inches. And then I'm going to use my crocodile just to punch a couple of holes in, 1/4 inch down from the top, and that will then hang on my book rings quite nicely within the aperture of that frame. But I'll come back to that measurement later. But for now, I just want to do a little printed piece. And the piece I'm going to do today is going to be quite simple and sort of fitting with the believe word that I want. I've got some stars here. I've just freehand cut some stars out of paper. I'm going to use those to mask off areas of my plate. And I've also just cut some sort of organic oval type shapes as well. Again, for another layer. We're just going to build up different layers using masks. And I've chosen my favourite turquoise here, which is the cobalt teal hue. I've also got phthalo turquoise, which is a darker blue, and Hansa yellow light, which is a nice bright yellow, which I thought will provide a contrast. And those are the colours that I'm going to be using today. I've got my rubber brayer, and this is just a piece of perspex, and I'll just be using that just to roll my paint out before I apply it to my plate. I've got some scrap paper off to the side that I'll clean my brayer on. But that's about it. We're pretty much ready to start. As we're going to be doing a layered piece here, I want to be able to put my piece of paper that I'm printing onto in the same place each time. Now, some people set their Gelli plate on a piece of paper underneath so they can line the edges up. I've found in the past one way that works quite nicely is to just position where my piece of paper is going to go, and then using a little bit of painter's tape or washi tape, just attach it to the mat, and then I can open it up and shut it back down again, and I know this will be in the same place and my design will line up. It doesn't matter too much, we're trimming this down in this instance, but it does help if you can keep things fairly well lined up if you want to plan how your layers are going to work. So I'm going to start by putting my star masks all over my Gelli plate. As I say, I just drew some stars roughly on a piece of paper and cut them out by hand. If you're not confident doing that, then you can always die cut some stars or use a punch. But I'm not bothered about them being perfect. I quite like the fact that they're quirky and they're all slightly different. So I'm going to use the Cobalt Teal Hue paint. These are the Deco Art Media Fluid Acrylics. I like using these, they give a nice smooth finish. I'm just going to apply that all over my Gelli plate. Then we just remove those masks. You can reuse these. As long as you don't tear them when you're taking them off, you can reuse them quite a number of times. And then pressing firmly, transfer your first layer of paint onto your piece of mixed media paper. I'll just show you what that looks like. That's our first layer. Now you obviously want to keep your piece of cardstock in place with the little hinge. So for my next layer, I'm going to use these oval shapes. And my intention here is to cover a lot more of the Gelli plate, because the more I can cover this time, the more of that lighter colour blue will still be showing through. And for this one, I'm going to use the Phthalo Turquoise, which is the darker blue. Just evenly get it on my brayer. And coat the Gelli plate for the second time. And again, once you've got a coating on there, remove your masks. And replace your piece of paper back down, and again press firmly to transfer the paint. And there I've built up a second layer. For my final layer, I want to use the Hansa yellow light, and I want to create some sort of stripes of yellow. So I've just cut some more paper into a couple of strips, and I'm going to use those just to mask off most of my plate, but again just leaving a little bit exposed, and that's where I want to put the yellow. So just applying it to the plate as before. Then removing those strips. And pressing down for our third impression. And that just adds a real nice bright pop of colour to the design. So this shouldn't take long to dry. Gel print's always fairly quick to dry because it transfers quite a small amount of paint. So I'm just going to clear this out of the way, and then we can get on with cutting this down to size and adding some finishing touches to it. So I've trimmed my print down to my 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch to fit my frame. And I've die cut one of these lovely Tim Holtz Sizzix Wildflowers dies. I've done that in, it's a bright pink. I believe the colour is, it's Flamingo. That's a Kaiser card Flamingo 12 by 12 paper. But it was a really nice contrast. So I'm going to be applying that on there. I'm also going to add some detail with some Posca pens as well. So I just have, I've just thought I'll gather the colours that go with this, and I'm going to just add a little doodle detail. So now my paint pen's dry, I'm going to attach this die cut. This is the glue that I always use. This is the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue. And I use these fine tipped applicator bottles. I find it really good for just precise application, especially on things like these little die cuts here. Just makes it really simple to put a small amount of glue where you want it. The other good thing about this glue is it does dry clear, so if any does squish out around the edges, doesn't matter, you won't see it once it's dried. And this is some paper tape. It's a bit like washi tape, but it's more opaque. It's more of just an adhesive paper. This was from the Works here in the UK. And I'm just applying some of this because I want to stamp my word onto the tape. But you could use you could just use washi tape, that's absolutely fine. I just happen to have this in a colourway that would go quite nicely with my print. So I've just got a wooden alphabet set and my archival ink pad, and I'm just going to stamp the word across the strip of yellow. And the final thing that I want to do is just go around the edge of this with a little black ink. Now sometimes I would use distress ink, but because this is a painted finish, I'm just going to use the archival because I know that it's going to dry and it'll just frame it. So I shall punch my 2 holes in there and pop this in the frame, and you'll be able to see the photographs at the end. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do like getting my gel plate out and doing some printing. And this is just showing what great effect you can make just with some ordinary copier paper that you might have at home. If you did enjoy the video, as always, please leave me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And all being well, I shall be back again next week with another project for you. But for now, that's all. Bye.